which means the 4th week, and this is the supplement in the 4th week, and it's going to be serves. So we're going to be talking about a lot of things about serves. We're going to reiterate what we did before, which is how important the toss is. How very, very important the toss is. And Jane and Mary behind me are practicing their kind of warm-up routine, making sure that they've got their arms going, making sure they're reaching up overhead, all those kind of motions. And you'll notice too, looking a little bit about the grip of their racket. Now, Mary, who's on the right side of me, is serving from the singles section, and Jane, who's behind me on the left side, is serving as if she's playing doubles. And you'll notice when you play singles, you serve closer to the center service mark by the baseline, closer to that, because you're only a singles player. That means a singles player versus a singles player. If she serves wide out from the outside, then she's lost coverage of 3/4 of her court. She needs to have coverage of half of her court. Now you can see where practicing that Jane's practicing from, she's on her half of the court because she has a partner. So she's covering her half of the court when she serves. Now both of them are standing behind the baseline. Not way behind the baseline, but behind the baseline. Because remember, the rule is you cannot stand on or over the service line. On or over. You can't be on this line. No, 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 no. Not on this line. So a lot of people stood way far back and then kind of jumped into it. Or a lot of people stood back and then they stepped and then hit the ball when they were serving. So you can step into the court, but you can't do it until you contact the serve, and then you can step into the court on your follow-through. So they're both starting and been working on their warm-ups, plus they've already warmed up before they got ready to serve anyway. Remember, serving is the last usually 2 minutes of a warm-up. So they're going to start practicing their ball tosses. I want you to watch their lineup, their stances. They can both serve at the same time. We're just going to let them warm up a little bit, and then we're going to go into particulars about it. What I've already seen that's just super is they both tossed the ball several times and really probably didn't like it. Remember, if you have to chase it, you don't want to serve it. You don't want to make a bad toss into a serve because 90% of the time a bad toss creates a bad serve. So you want a good toss. Remember, one of the first things that I told you was, they're not going to like you if you toss it 9,000 times, but that's how you develop your muscle memory and you get that toss that you like. You don't want to have to chase it. Now, both these ladies are really good servers. They're both very consistent. So at times, they can take a toss that might not be the optimum toss, but it's still in front of them and bring it in. Now, so far, all of their serves have gone over. So that tells me that they're hitting over on top of the ball. If they drop their head or they lower their arms, their head drops or they lower their arms, or the third thing could be too low of a toss, then 90% of the time the ball will go in the net. So that helps you make some corrections right there. It's easier to correct a ball that you serve too long than it is to correct a ball that continually goes into the net. A ball that goes too long, a lot of times you can use that little snap of the wrist. Remember that action that's like throwing the racket, that little snap or pronation there? That will help bring the ball in during your follow-through. Also notice how nice their follow-throughs are so that they are ready to hit the next ball. They're not just whacking a serve and then standing still. They're whacking a serve and they're back right to ready position to hit the next ball or the return. So that's what they're doing. Okay, now they're going to change sides. So they're going to serve from opposite sides. Now remember, we talked about this before. The sun can be a factor. The wind can be a factor. So the sun can be a factor and the wind can be a factor. So right now this afternoon, more than anything else, it's going to be the sun because we have almost no wind. So I know coming from the backhand side or the side that Mary's on is a little bit harder to serve on right now, because as she looks up and tosses up, she has to make sure that she doesn't look right into the sun. Now, they're doing a super job about nobody foot faulting. And remember also, one of the test questions the first semester was, if the serve hits one of the lines in the service court, is it good? If it hits the center service line, is it good? If it hits any line, the answer is yes, it is good. All lines are good. There's no portion of a line that is not good. No matter the fraction of the line, it is a good serve. And if you cannot clearly call it out, that would be not only a serve, but any ball. If you cannot clearly call it out, then you play it as good. That is the rule. You don't wait and hem and haw about it. You make a good, clear, concise call is what you're doing. Okay, now we're going to talk a little bit about first serve and second serve, okay? So we'll go one at a time. Mary's already ready to go. Look at her grip. This is her first serve. She's hoping that's going to go in. We're going to play like it did not, so this is her second serve that we know it has to go in. So she's not going to hit a bad toss because if it doesn't go in, she's already lost the point. So she's going to make this maybe a little less power and a little more placement. So here's Jane's first serve. There we go. Nice, deep, good serve. We're going to play like that did not go in, although it did. That's her second serve, which had a little less pace and made sure it went into the court. So let's look at this again. A first serve. Yes. And here's our second serve. Look at those nice tosses. Here's another first serve. Good. And here's a second serve. This ball has to go in, otherwise she's lost the point. Bummer. Okay, so you have to be aware of that. Remember, if you do not get your serves in, you get 0, and I mean 0 points. Now, so far, nobody has hit the tape, which means if it hits the top, it's a lat, and you get to serve it again if it goes into the court correctly. If it hits the tape, uh-oh, good eye there, Jane. Do you see how far she had to go to get that one? She said, oh, that was a terrible toss. Oh, she went ahead and said, oh, I'm taking that one anyway. So, when the motion is good and it's comfortable, you reach up to get it. Look at yourself, reach up. Look up there like the Statue of Liberty. Look up there, extend that arm up into the air. Whether you want to call it a toss or a lift or an extension of the arm, that arm stays up there to guide you. Have a path where you want the ball to go. When you look up, guide with your arm. Typically, our regular flat serves that go in, we look at 1 o'clock on our clock. Serves that have a little bit of a kick or a slice, they're usually a little bit farther back, close to 2 o'clock on our clock. You bring them a little behind you. Now next week we'll probably have the guys come in and they have kick serves. So that means they have a lot of English on them. That was a good one right there. Jane had a little bit of a kick on that one. I like how Mary waited on that one. Went way behind her. She had to back up to get it. So think about how that takes your form out when you have to back up to get it. This is why we practice our ball toss. Now these ladies have served hundreds of thousands of balls. You guys have maybe served just barely 100 this last semester. So they are way, can't believe she took that one, way ahead of y'all in ball tosses. So that's why they can get up here and only toss a couple times and get a good toss. You, however, will need to practice your ball tosses. You can practice them at home in a chair. You can practice using balls in a sock at home. There's so many ways you can practice a ball toss. You can trap it against the wall without having to serve. You can hang one from a suspended surface and practice reaching up and getting it. All of those are ways to practice reaching. But you want to think I'm reaching up to get the ball and bringing it down. Unless you're 7 feet tall or taller, you have to hit up on the ball to get the ball over the net. Think about that. Up on the ball to get the ball over the net. You're not tall enough with the angle mathematically to hit down on the ball and get it over. Okay, now both the ladies are going to go back to abbreviated. They haven't done this in years. They're going to change sides again so their arms won't fall off. They're going to start in the back scratcher position. So I want you to notice how they're gripping the racket. Notice their grips on the racket, okay? So watch their ball toss and their abbreviated action from here. So there's the ball toss, abbreviated action. They haven't done it in so long, they're not even sure they can do it. They're thinking about it. They're thinking about it. They're thinking about it. So this is how you work into it. This is how you feel like you contact the ball in the right place. You reach up to get it. So this is why we started with the fundamentals when we first started, so that we didn't throw our ball toss off by the abbreviated serve. Those were both super. Look at those. Both super. Reaching back behind you. Now that we've tortured them enough, let's make them go ahead and try back to their original serves. So what they're hoping to do is this gets them to where they lift up and over that ball. Up and over that ball. Now, whack it. Good. Now I'm going to pick on Jane because she's closest to me. I'm going to say now, and that's when I want her to hit it. I'm going to say now, and let's see if she can contact it and reach up to it. So the word is now. Go get it. I freaked her out. Here we go. Now, go get it. Super. We could be a tag team here. Okay, here's Mary's. Now, go get it. Look at that. It's like cheating, coaching. Now, go get it. Super. So, now don't hit that one. That's what I would say if I was watching her. Don't hit that one. Let's try this one. Here we go. And now, go get it. Yes. Don't drop your head. Go get it now. Yes. Super. So what that's doing is that's giving them a chance to reach up to get the ball, not let the ball come down to eye level. They're only going to do a couple more, otherwise their arms are going to fall off. This is more serves and warm-up than they've done the whole time. Now something we have not talked about is placement. We've just talked about changing our serves. Changing our serves. That's all we've talked about is changing our serves. We're going to wait for returns for another day because we want to put that into our strategy playing about points. So our serves are going to serve purpose to do another day. So I'm going to pick on the ladies one at a time. So Mary, come on over. She's going to say, oh, let me think what she's going to ask me now. And if you guys remember Mary and Jane from last time, I asked them what they thought about different things about serving. So they've been in 3 of our videos so far. So tell me what you think is the important part of your serve, or serve in general. What do you think?
I think the most important part about serving is that you do have to take your time and get your ball placement correctly. But to me, most of all, is you have to make sure that ball gets over that net and gets in that service box. So practice, practice, practice.
There you go. Okay, Jane, you're up. She probably gave you some of the tips that you wanted to say.
What's the most important thing about serving? It's your rhythm.
Ooh, I like that one.
You know, when we started out, we knew exactly when to take our racket back and throw the ball at the same time.
Yes.
So when you made us start over, we didn't know how to do that because we didn't have a rhythm because there was no start.
Very
good. It wasn't balanced.
Very good. So super. So think about how both of those, we're going to clap for the ladies again. We should clap for them the last 2 comments. But think about how important this is. Remember, you don't get the ball in on a serve, you get no points. And the second part of that equation was if you don't get the return back, you also get no points. Remember? Zippo, zippo. So you'll never get to rally if you don't have either one of those happen. You'll never get to rally, so you'll never get a chance to see how super you play and what you know that you can do if you can't serve and you can't return the ball. So those are the things you want to think about. Being ready in all the ground strokes, the lobs, the approaches, the half volleys, the volleys. They were ready for every ball that came to them. Even those balls that were crappy that I fed to them back in those earlier weeks that we videotaped, they were ready for those. Now they're ready for the serve. So they're going to get that ball in play, and then they're going to be ready for the return coming back. We've set up this whole scenario week by week by week, talking about grips, talking about stances, talking about ready position, talking about top spin, slices, flat balls. We've talked about drop balls, approaches, moving forward, being ready for each one, cutting off the angles. We've talked about the importance of the toss, the rhythm, being ready, getting your serve in, practicing. All those things are summing up to where we can put everything together so that we can play points and then therefore play points, play games. So that's what we're setting the semester up. Remember, go back to your fundamentals, keep practicing each time. Don't get ahead of yourself. If you start making mistakes, go back again and review all those fundamentals of the things that we were working on. Okay, so already had Wilson, we've already had Head, and this week is now Prince rackets. So Prince rackets, that's the cue for right now for this week. This is our 4th week, so this is 4.5 on our weekly assignments. So remember, I'm still looking for the same thing, 3 submissions that have to do with what we worked on serves. The things that you think are the most important serves are the things that you practice and know, or what you watch from today's videos. So be sure you submit those 3 submissions in that little area where we have the submissions. So really there's summarizations, 3 that you think that are important, and that you attach that we are now talking about Prince rackets, so Prince goes in there. If you want to be really cute and you want to put Prince in there somewhere like some people did before on the others, you can throw that in there like he's a prince of a person because he serves so good. I will take that too. But be sure you put the words in there so that I know that you're watching the videos each time. Thank you very much. We'll be grouping all this together next week for our 5.5 session. I'm drifting again because my videotaper guy says I'm drifting, so we are off. Don't forget to email me if you have any questions. Bye.